me calling my cows. They are. Belle! Dolly! Here they come, Maple! Come on! Rosie, let's go! I'm sorry, fellas, you can't come. They're doing just fine, though. Boys, come say hi. Come say hi. Come say hi. They really don't like me. This is how Dolly talks when she wants something. Dolly! Come on. Come on, Maple. Belle and Rose went the wrong way. Come on, baby. Maple looks huge. She's not due to calve for like 6 months. She's got forever. She's just a big belly girl. Come on, Maple. That a girl. She's so pretty. Such a pretty lady. With Dolly B in the back, she just realized where everybody's going. Come on. Belle! Come on, Jolene. Here comes your mama. She's crazy. Here come the beef cows. Come on, Belle! 2 mamas, 2 babies. Here they come. Good girls. Headed out to deliver some beef to a buyer and checking on my girls. Everybody's happy, happy, happy in the hay. All right, I'm about to show you a video that I'm really just shooting for myself, and this is kind of how I begin my garden planning each season, or even multiple times during the season, so that I get a good grasp on what I have already going on, where the perennials are, what has died out, what I need, what kind of space I have, what I have room to grow, all of those things. So this garden is a hot mess here in the middle of January. So you're gonna see all the mess, you're gonna see all the trash, you're gonna see everything that needs to be done, but that's okay. Like I said, this video is really just for me and my planning. So I hope it works out that I can share it with you and you can kind of get a feel for how I garden plan. It's a pretty breezy day, so I don't know how much garden content you're gonna get. So let's see. Okay. So to start, I have this pot of yarrow that I need to get put into a bed somewhere. I think it's going to go down in the in-ground garden. And then I also have a little fig tree beyond that pile of compostable material. That's what we're going to call that. That needs to get moved. Also down to the in-ground garden. Here, this is kind of funny. Both of these boxes. So this rosemary's perennial. This is where I had some peppers. I tried to overwinter and they didn't make it. I've got a couple of potato plants coming up. So I planted potatoes here and I didn't think they were gonna make it, but this is a potato, this is a potato, that's a potato. So I need to dig the grass out and let the potatoes thrive, but I've got plenty of room here in the middle. Same thing over here. This whole box is planted with potatoes, but I just thought they all died. But I've got a couple coming up. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it and try to keep it weeded and feed them and see what happens, see if more come up. I'm afraid to put anything else in if more are going to come up. So I won't do anything for the short term. Just kind of wait it out. This box has carrots in it. So these will be done by probably May. They need to be thinned. I've also got some room for stuff. There's a little kohlrabi, a cabbage, a kale. On the other side, I have some carrots. Some of these got flooded out. We actually sowed these together, these 3 little rows, and they got flooded. With a deluge of a rain. So it's okay. That's okay. But the rest of this box, there is some thyme down there. That will come back in the spring, I think, if the cold didn't completely take it out at Christmas. And I've got a lot of grass down there that needs to come out. This box is empty, but this is a Genovese basil. And it's definitely going to come back. This is a Mexican sunflower. And I can take these little pokey balls. These are seed heads. There are seeds in there. And so I know I'm going to have some of those volunteer in here. I really don't care for them to volunteer in the box. I'd like to dedicate this space to food. But I am going to save some of these heads to plant flowers on the outside along the front of the garden fence. These are strawberries. Nothing else is going in here. I just need to weed that little ground cover weed. It looks like a clover. But these little strawberries, I picked some strawberries out of here this morning. I told Eric we're never going to have enough strawberries to make it into the house, like to do anything with, because they're so good. I can't leave them alone. I just eat them when I see them. All right, this box has a giant oregano. I have got to train this back. It's taking up such a large amount of space. These arugulas are all dead. The celery is trying to come back, which I like having the celery. I'm not necessarily growing these for stalks here in Florida, I've learned that, but I can use these greens. I like to use these greens in salads, and it just gives a nice punch to the salad. I also use them to flavor our stocks and in cooking. So you can see these arugula flowers. Those are good to have. The bees will like them. I wonder how this tastes. It's good. It's punchy. It's good, strong. Okay, the other side of this arch. So I have an arch here designed for climbing things. So I think I'm going to go ahead and clean out both of these boxes and throw some new sweet peas down. You can see I had some. They're cold tolerant, but they're not. they don't like it when it's 17, and it got so cold. This garlic in here. took a little bit of a hit. You can see the browning of the leaves, but they're okay. They're coming back. They could use some fertilizer. And then I've got some radishes to pull on this side. Lots of weeds. This lacinato kale looks good. I just need some of these older leaves that got frost damage to be pulled off. And I'll pull them off and feed them to the chickens. Holy moly, look at these radishes. Ooh, so good. That's a good radish. These are so yummy. Roasted in the oven. I should have put them with our chuck roast. Eric likes that. Got lots of radishes to pull. Here's a couple of kohlrabis. Now the thing about these plants is that they're one and done. Once I pull this, it's done. So I give all the tops to the chickens or the cows, and then this bulb is what we get for food. Our favorite thing to do with it is to make a slaw. It's delicious. These are both ready, I can see, because the skin's coming off where the leaves are coming off. I need to pick these. So this box is going to be mostly empty once I pick those. There is a pineapple down here. I don't know if it'll come back. No. I was told to leave them alone until after the last frost and see if they come back. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm new to pineapple. A holy basil. That was a holy basil. So I expect some of that to come up again when it warms up. Okay, this box has some things to pick. A little bit of broccoli, some good chives, a couple of kohlrabis, some radishes, and then I've got this mint. So this mint was a little plant in the corner. So this mint was a little plant in the corner right here. And if you've ever grown mint, you know, I don't want to use the word invasive, but it's a very aggressive grower. So it has spread to the far corner over there, and it is spreading out to about halfway to the box, through the box. I have pulled some of it back away from these celery plants right here, and those actually have nice stalks on them. Maybe we will have some celery stalks to eat. But it's also grown outside of the box over here and on the far side over there. So I need to just rip a lot of it out and keep it trained back. And I think I'm gonna pot some to share with friends, possibly some to sell. I don't know, we'll see. I've got that arugula stuck in my teeth, it's strong. Okay, in this box, it's gonna be mostly cleared out. All of these Michelini cabbages bolted. I'm not gonna grow these again except for under shade. We'll try that. I do have this kale will stay. I have a pretty sad, ragged looking cabbage over there that I need to pick. And then I've got a sage plant and a marjoram plant. These will stay and flourish. Everything else comes out on the other side of this trellis. I have a couple of cauliflowers to cut, and I've got some carrots planted down the middle. Again, those will come out in May. I don't know what she's barking at. This strawberry bed is here to stay. Nothing else will go in here. Hopefully these strawberries will just continue to run and fill in the gaps. They are running outside of the box, which I think is amazing. I love it. This box has, it's mostly celery. And again, wherever I have celery, I'm gonna leave it as long as it'll live. And then I had a pretty big toothache plant down there, and I think that will probably reseed itself. The only problem with that is I don't know what it looks like when it starts to come up. So I'll try not to weed it. But that's a neat plant. That's a really cool plant, an herb to have on hand. A lot of maintenance things need to happen. Like this box needs to be put back together. It's a nice cauliflower to pick. Okay, I have 4 elderberry plants in pots here that came off of cuttings from a friend's plants. And they're gonna go on the far side of the garden over there, behind the swing, behind the table, where they can get partial shade, partial sun. They'll get the afternoon western sun at the end of the day. And so they're going to go near the fence, but the cows have access on the other side of that fence. And if you can see here behind my blackberries, they've pushed the fence over to chew on the blackberry plants. So we're going to run hot wire all the way across the top of the fence, all the way around to keep them off of that. So the hot wire will keep them off of the elderberry also. Okay. Now the ingrown half. So this has a lot of brassicas in it. It has some lettuces that aren't really doing anything. Those are going to come out. The green onions look great. We've been clipping off of those. They'll stay. As far as spring planting goes, I will cut out the cauliflowers, cut out the kohlrabis, cut out the cabbages. I have a lacinato kale, and then I've got 3 ragged jack kales, or they're also known as red Russian kales. These are my favorite kales to use for cooking. So they will definitely stay. They have a little bit of frost damage on them, and while they may bolt in the heat, I've had pretty good luck at making kale last year round and treating it like a perennial. So if it bolts, I'll take some seeds from it. I'll try to cut it back. I may throw some shade cloth over it. I don't know, depending on what else goes in this bed this spring. I've got some other warm season things that I want planted. So if it's stuff that doesn't like the shade, then I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But for now, I've got the kale. That's the only thing that's going to end up staying there. This bed of onions is beautiful. These will be here until May or June. This bed is largely empty. It has some brassicas. We had a moringa tree. It's subtropical and didn't like the cold. Obviously, I knew that was going to happen. I am going to cut it back and then see if it comes back in the spring. I don't know. It was so cold. But this little group of brassicas here, they're all cauliflowers, actually. This little group of cauliflowers just never really grew well compared to the rest of the bed. We cut a lot out of the rest of the bed this year over the winter, so I don't know why. I don't know why it wasn't happy there, but those plants were not happy. We had peanuts in here last summer. So I know I won't be doing that, but I know that some are probably going to volunteer and come back on their own. So we'll see. I know I have this whole bed to use anyways for spring. This bed has a trellis on it. We did tomatoes here last year. We may do that again. I'm not sure. It has some broccoli. It also has goji berries down at the end on this other side. So the goji berries are perennials. They will stay. Has some garlic in the ground at the end. I'm gonna replant some sweet peas, some green peas here on this trellis. I have lots of Tabasco peppers that ended up dying in the freeze. We picked and picked and picked and picked and picked. Last year was the year of the pepper, and I just couldn't take any more peppers, and a lot of these weren't even ripe whenever the freeze came. So they have dropped off. I know that I'm gonna have some seed. Same thing down here with these shishito peppers. I know we're gonna have some seeds that fell. I have a rosemary plant. She's there to stay. Then on the opposite side, down here, I had planted a turmeric down in the ground here. So I don't know what that looks like coming up. I haven't grown turmeric in a couple of years, and it was at another property, and I never had it come back. So I don't know what it's gonna look like new. This garlic, same as the other garlic, got knocked back a little bit. We're gonna give it some nitrogen, some phosphorus, watch it grow. Got a couple of strawberry plants here that'll stay. More garlic. So the garlic is here again until probably about May, and then it will come out. So this bed is mostly taken up until summer, which means I need to plan to put something here that is heat loving, and not just heat tolerant like tomatoes, but heat loving like peppers, okra, maybe some black-eyed peas. Those peanuts were pretty heat loving. Something like that will go in this bed. The last bed that I have planted has a green tea tree, so that's here to stay. These Brussels sprouts won't make it in the summer, so these are here through the coolest part of the year into spring. And this is a strawberry guava. I don't think it made it. It looks worse for the wear, but we'll see. We'll see if she comes back. And then there are some purple sweet potatoes planted at the end here. So that brings us to this lovely little sagey grass area. We have room for one more wide bed, so we'll do one more, probably a 4-foot wide bed. That'll bring us to about here, and then the outside will be mulched. I'll do some flowers within there, but I just like to have a nice walkway. I'm going to keep it off of the fence where the cows are, and that leaves us to this back side where my blackberries are. They have propagated themselves, so I'm going to dig some of those out and fill in the gap along this side. I need to prune these back, and then we're going to plant sweet potatoes beneath the blackberry plants to use as a ground cover to hopefully shade out this grass. See, trash. So this is the video that I will use to go in, jot down what I have planted, what will stay, when stuff comes out, and that way I know how much space I have, how much growing room I have, where I might want to put little odds and end things. I know I want to add a couple of blueberry bushes, and I'd like for them to grow into trees. I've got 2 over here, but they're tiny. I'd like to get some bigger ones already established and add them in these in-ground beds, maybe even one in a box on the other side. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how the mood strikes me. I really like the idea of the grocery row garden and creating you know, a nice perennial fruit tree space. And then I also have plans in the future, not this year, to knock that far fence out. And then I've got a nice big area that I could plant in ground for those fruit trees. And then while those trees are small, that I could plant some fruits and vegetables and more annual garden things underneath, ground cover things, yams, sweet potatoes, all that wonderful stuff. Besides planting on the to-do list, obviously I need to clean up. I've got a bag of fertilizer on the ground here. I've got our plastic for covering our strawberries here. I've got to pull out dead plants. I've got to weed beds. This side of the garden is all grassy. It's meant to just be a place that I can sit and enjoy. And I was going to plant some herbal things, so that's why I have the yarrow. I have an aloe plant in the ground, which actually has a few pups on the sides, which is kind of cool. But the grass really took over last summer. So this side over here is going to be a great composting area. I don't want to plant anything too close to the trees because the trees really suck the nutrients. I like having the table as a place for potting up things. Obviously the swing is a nice place just to be. So those elderberries will go on the back side in that corner over there. Other to-do stuff. I've got to prune the blackberries. I need a new water hose that is long enough to reach the entire garden. I need a new spray nozzle. I need new gloves. I need. Need my shed. And the rest of these chickies are doing good. They're hiding from me. They are ready to move up to a bigger container. All right, I know that I have some seeds that have sprouted, but I haven't opened it in a couple days, so this will be your garden content today. Turn these lights off because they're a little bit blinding. Make sure the water content is good. Oh, hello. This is exciting. I said the eggplant would probably sprout first. That's all eggplant at the end there. So then the next would be bell peppers. I don't see much going on there. And then jalapenos. They take a little time. These are shishitas here that have sprouted. Hello, little peppers. There's one. Okay, so it feels nice and moist. The moisture has stayed in, keeping that dome on. Okay, so that's super exciting. I'm gonna have to pick apart those eggplants probably tomorrow. Let's see. Oops, wrong one. Question I get a lot is how long do the lights need to be on? And truth be told, some say as little as 13 hours a day and some say 18 hours a day. I don't even turn mine off. They stay on 24 hours and they're great. So I see lots of sprouts here. These, I don't even remember what it is. Thank God for labels. What's at the end down there? I think they're tomatoes. Oh no, okay, that makes sense. Yes. So here again, here's one little sprout. These are sweet baby bells. I started, there's a lot of baby bell seed in here. We really liked this pepper. Then there's green bell, I don't see any of. And then there's Genovese basil, I don't see any of. But that, let's see if you can see. If I turn the light on. See all these? These are all dill. So dill is a pickle worm deterrent or a vine borer deterrent. So this year, I intend to grow dill in all the beds. Everywhere, anywhere I have a vining plant, like a squash, a cucumber, anything that those pickle worms like to bore into the stems and kill the plant, this dill is going next to them because those critters don't like the smell of the dill plant. So, little tip for you. Perfect. All right, I'm not starting any more seeds today. I will do that tomorrow. What I am gonna do is cut my potatoes, or we call this chitting your potatoes. So I'm gonna show you how I do that, and then we're gonna let them scab over so that they don't rot when I plant them in the ground. I will go in tonight. I will watch back this video of my little ugly January garden tour, and I will figure out where I want to plant these potatoes. So here's what we have. Okay, our nearest farm store had potatoes for sale, seed potatoes. So what you see are 10 pounds of seed potatoes. So if you see all the eyes on the potato, everywhere there's an eye has the potential to become a potato plant. I could plant this whole potato in the ground, it would sprout up, it would grow more potatoes, that would be lovely. But I could cut this in half or even quarters to get 2 or 4 plants. Now, I don't like to start them too small. If you have too small of a root in the bottom, you don't get a very good yield. So I'll probably cut this in half. And the only thing you need to make sure that you do when you do this is make sure that each half has at least one really good eye. I like more than one. You'll also notice that each potato has more eyes on one side. Like most of them are on this side, this far side of this potato. So if I cut it in half like this, I've got one good eye here. I've got a little eye on the back side. So I'll probably cut it down the middle, maybe even lengthwise like this, so you can see both sides have some strong eyes. So it'll be 2 good plants. So I'm starting with a 10-pound seed amount, and we'll see what we yield in a couple of months. I want to put these in my tray with the cut side up so that they dry. So I'm just going to go through this whole 10 pounds and do the same thing. Now, could I use store-bought potatoes? Maybe. I've done that before. I don't see any good eyes on this side, so this whole potato is just going to be set aside. I've also got this little guy. Doesn't look very great, but it is scabbed over. I'm going to put it in the ground just to see. You never know if you don't try. So like I was saying, I have planted store-bought potatoes. The problem with that is they are usually sprayed with an anti-sprouting agent. So if you do that, the first thing you need to do is make sure you get organic potatoes to use as your seed stock. This one's also been cut, but it's okay. It's scabbed over. That's exactly what's going to happen to my cut potatoes. They're going to scab over and dry. Since this is, well, I could cut this down this way. I think I'm going to leave it like it is. Setting aside the smaller, well, gosh, this is too good. I have to cut it. So the thing about ordering potatoes or buying certified seed potatoes is that they're certified virus-free. So if you know any history about potato famines, potato shortages, you'll know that it's a virus that took out a lot of potatoes in the past. I have such a hard time deciding. Once you plant potatoes in your garden that are infected with a virus, that ground is going to be affected for years to come. So spending the $10 for seed potatoes is really no big deal compared to the cost of the potatoes at the store. I'm maybe saving $4 or $5 by getting them at the store. Ordering potatoes also is a good way to know that I'm ordering something that is going to grow well in my area. Your big baking style potatoes are not really going to be good for our area. They take entirely too long to grow, and generally we're going to be in our rainy season when it would be time to harvest them, and they really just kind of get mushed out. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like this. They're going to get a little bit of light. That's okay. It's not direct light. It's nice and warm in here where I'm keeping my seedlings started and my chicks. So that's good. So basically they're just gonna sit here for 2 or 3 days before I do anything more with them. That's it. Okay, it's hours later. The roast has been finished. I had set the timer on the oven so it shut off when it was done. A lot of times what I'll do with that roast is I'll add a little bit of cornstarch right to the broth and the Worcestershire, and so that it thickens as it cooks. And I'll do potatoes and carrots and that kind of thing. Sometimes I don't do that because we want to serve it over potatoes, like mashed potatoes. But in this case today, I've got carrots we're going to do on the side and no potatoes. We're going to do rice. And my guys like a thicker gravy. And they also like their rice cooked in broth, not just water, or I'll do like a mix. So I'm gonna do that. Also, I'm not doing corn right now, so I'm gonna separate some off to the side for my own little juice. It'll be more like an au jus kind of juice and not a gravy, but that's okay. It'll be delicious nonetheless. Oh. It smells amazing. I mean, amazing. It's gonna be fork tender. Okay, so that's 1 cup of broth and 1 cup of water added. Okay, I have picked off the thickest pads of fat and connective tissue, so we're left with the shredded beef. It's glorious. It's so delicious. I've mixed in the onions and the garlic and the herbs that were all on top. That one is mine. This is our juice that has thickened into a gravy after adding the cornstarch. Turn it off. Turn it off, and I'm going to drop in my meat. So we have this beautiful meat and gravy. It tastes so good. We've got rice in the Instant Pot over there that we will ladle this over. Alright, I decided to add a can of green beans. I've got some bacon fat. Add to them. Much salt because that bacon fat is pretty loaded with salt. The lid on it, let it simmer. Alright, so here it is. Here's your homestead dinner. At the end of the day, we have rice in the Instant Pot, meat and gravy to go over the top, and then I have 2 sides of green beans, and there's maple glazed carrots. These smell amazing. So I just am waiting on everybody to get home and fix plates. In the meantime, I'm gonna throw it all in the oven. The oven's hot already, and it'll just stay warm until they get here. So thanks for watching. I know this one was all over the place. Garden, seeds, cows, what? Dinner. But that's a typical homestead kind of day. I have a lot of irons in the fire. Thanks for watching. If you're still here, if you liked it, would you please subscribe below, and I'll talk to you soon.